But the woman was given 2 wings of a great eagle, that she might fly into the wilderness to her place, where she is nourished for a time, and times, and half a time, from the presence of the serpent. This is a very interesting verse. Sounds kind of crazy. What on earth is a great eagle? A time, times, and half a time, that's 3.5 years, where she's nourished and protected. So that represents the people of Israel. And there's a great eagle. What is he talking about, a great eagle? Well, if you look at the constellations, you see Jupiter at the bottom is right there getting ready to enter Capricornus, where he just clashed with Saturn. But there's Aquila, the eagle constellation, is right above it. Right there. That has to be what John is seeing. There's the great eagle. The eagle is the 22nd largest constellation. Capricornus is the 40th largest. So the eagle is much bigger than Capricornus. It is a great eagle. And it fits in perfectly with the events we've been seeing. And now he brings in the eagle just as Jupiter is going into Capricornus. Isn't that amazing? Capricornus represents the wilderness, and we'll see that in a second. But let's think about this eagle. He says she's given 2 wings. I believe that is the Jewish settlers in the West Bank. They're going to be forced to flee. That's considered occupied territory. There's going to be a treaty where they have to give that up. And they're going to have to flee from that West Bank. And there's going to be an airlift and taking those Jews somewhere to safety. And in Zechariah 12:7, God says that he will save the tents of Judah first. So there you have it. Let's look at the proof that Capricornus represents the wilderness. Besides the eagle straight above it, there's a scripture that gives us a lot of information. He shall take 2 goats and present them before the Lord at the door of the tabernacle of meeting. Then Aaron shall cast lots for the 2 goats, 1 lot for the Lord, and the other lot for the scapegoat, Azazel. And Aaron shall bring the goat on which the Lord's lot fell, and the other it is a sin offering. But the goat on which the lot fell to be the scapegoat shall be presented alive before the Lord, to make atonement upon it, and to let it go as a scapegoat into the wilderness. Aaron shall lay both his hands on the head of the live goat, confess over it all the iniquities of the children of Israel, and all their transgressions concerning all their sins, putting them on the head of the goat, and shall send it away into the wilderness by the hand of a suitable man. The goat shall bear on itself all their iniquities to an uninhabited land, and he shall release the goat in the wilderness. 3 times the goat goes to the wilderness. And the word scapegoat is the English translation. It's Azazel. The book of Enoch tells us that Azazel was one of the watchers, one of the angels that descended on Mount Hermon, took wives of men, and that's where we get the giants in Genesis. And God was so mad at Azazel, he said, unto him be ascribed all sin. Azazel taught how to make weapons of warfare and how to work with metal and all kinds of things. The eternal secrets hidden in heaven, he taught them to men. And God says, put him in the desert and cover him with rocks. So there's the wilderness. And then now he's, this same word, Azazel, he's saying, call that goat Azazel and send him into the wilderness. Well, Capricornus has a goat head. It has a fish. You see the tail of a fish here. And there's just a symbolic of the Greek goddess Pan that was turned into a fish. But anyway, it represents a wilderness. Here is a very interesting proof when we look at Yeshua's 30th birthday. We're going back in time. We're going to 28, Common Era. And he's just turned 30 years old. And we're determining this date from his birth was when Jupiter, again representing Messiah, joined up with the star of the king in the lion, which is today called Regulus. That represented Yeshua's birthday on September 14th, 3 BC. So when he was 30, it would be on this date. And it's the September the 12th now, because we're going by the Hebrew calendar, not the Julian. So this is the 4th day of Tishri. He's 30 years old. We're going to watch what Jupiter does. Look where Jupiter is. He's in Capricornus. What do we know about Yeshua that happened when he turned 30? The first thing, what? He got sent to the wilderness. So we're going to watch as the Jupiter goes from Yeshua's 30th birthday. We're going to go day by day. He's going to have 11 days, and then it's going to be the first day of Tabernacles, Sukkot, and he's going to get baptized by John the Baptist. There it is. Now, that start, he immediately went to the wilderness, because John the Baptist was baptizing in the wilderness. So he's right there. He goes in the wilderness, and he's got 40 days, right? But all of these 40 days, Jupiter is in Capricornus with the goat head representing the wilderness. But look at what is happening in 28. Mars is coming in now. We know what Mars did in 2020, but look at what happens as Mars approaches Jupiter. Jupiter represents a Messiah, you know. On the 40th day, he makes his closest approach. Actually, this is showing the very end of the 40th day. That's why Mars is a little bit past Jupiter. This is almost the end of the day. So it is the day that he makes the closest approach to Jupiter. That is when Satan tempted Yeshua with the temptations after the 40 days. Interesting. These stars are showing us what happened all the way back 2,000 years ago, and it's accurate. It lines up. It lines up with when Yeshua was born. It lines up when he was in the wilderness, and it's lining up in 2017 on. Amazing. The heavens are declaring the glory of God. They're preaching the gospel. And here we see the wilderness is in Capricornus when Yeshua is in the wilderness. Incredible. Okay, we're going to go back to where we left off. Saturn had just clashed with Jupiter. We're back into 2020. And we're going to watch Israel go into the wilderness. Now there's the tip of the eagle's wing there. And we're going to watch all the planets that are going to come in. You're going to see Mercury come in. You're going to see Venus come in. And you're going to see them give peace and protection to Jupiter, to Israel, as it enters the wilderness. Because it says it's nourished for 3.5 years. It's protected when it's in the wilderness. Well, you're going to see that protection. Okay, we have... Okay, Mercury, the angels of God are coming in, escorting Israel into the wilderness. Now watch Mercury. It's going to make a big circle around the whole wilderness. Watch Venus, peace. It's coming in to bring peace and comfort. Mercury's making a big circle around now, going in between Saturn, protecting Israel from Satan. And now Mercury goes on and leads the way into Aquarius. But you see how Israel is protected in the wilderness. And now Israel's ready to leave the wilderness. But look at what happens. It's getting ready to enter Aquarius. We're going ahead a week at a time still. Jumping ahead every 7 days. Jupiter goes into the middle of Aquarius and starts to slow down. It's getting ready to enter retrograde motion. But it's like it sees the water. And then it slows down. And then it stops. It sees the water. It says, no. It turns around and now it retreats back into the wilderness. But it's protected in the wilderness, right? We're told it's protected. So here Jupiter is having to go back. The retrograde motion is taking it back into the wilderness. But fortunately, the retrograde motion is simultaneously affecting Saturn, and it's pushed to the far side of the wilderness. You see, it's pushed away from Israel. It cannot bother it in the wilderness. All right, now it's finally stopped its retrograde motion. It's going to have to start going back forward again. This is an amazing verse here. So the serpent spewed water out of his mouth like a flood after the woman, that he might cause her to be carried away by the flood. But the earth helped the woman, and the earth opened its mouth and swallowed up the flood, which the dragon had spewed out of his mouth. What on earth is John talking about? This is spewed water. What is that? Is it a tsunami? What on earth? This is just so obscure. And then the earth opened up its mouth. I mean, this just sounds. What is this? But this verse, if you're not convinced now that John is looking at the heavens and watching Jupiter, this ought to be the final straw that convinces you. Because look at what happens when we watch the serpent spew water out of his mouth after the woman. We now have Jupiter heading back into Aquarius. And we're still jumping 1 week at a time. The retrograde motion is stopped. It's back in its normal progression. It's going to have no choice. It's in Aquarius. It's going to have to go, and look at what it has. There's a stream of water. The serpent spews the water out. And here is the water. Is there any doubt this is what John is looking at? And this is sequentially happening exactly with everything Jupiter's been doing. Jupiter enters the stream, the flood, the serpent spews after him. Mercury is rushing in to help. The angels of God are coming in. And finally, as Jupiter exits the stream, Mercury delivers it. The angels have delivered it from the flood. The earth opened up its mouth and helped the woman. It's at this point that the tribulation with the nation of Israel stops. March the 21st, 2022. At this point, it's out of the flood, into safety. This is the last-ditch effort that the Antichrist has. He tries to destroy the Jewish nation. Nothing's helped. Somehow the earth opened up its mouth and the water was not able. The angels of God delivered it. Let's go ahead. Let's step ahead 1 more week from this. And we just simply have moved the picture down. And we see Venus and Mars appear. You still have Saturn in the edge of the wilderness. But you have Mars coming. You know what happens when Mars comes even with Saturn? 1 week later, Mars joins Saturn again. 2 times before Mars has joined Saturn, what does he do? He goes berserk and he pursues the Israeli nation, Jupiter. But he can't do it this time. Why? Jupiter's orbit he's already past Saturn. Jupiter's orbit is faster. Saturn can't catch up with Jupiter. He can't pursue Jupiter anymore. It's hopeless. Jupiter's already passed him up. So what does Saturn do when Mars joins even? Because he goes berserk every time. This is the 3rd time. Mars has a 2-year orbit. And every time, twice before, he's gone crazy when Mars has gone even with him. Well, it's the same way again. The heavens are showing exactly what's happened, because here we have John saying, and the dragon was enraged with the woman, and he went to make war with the rest of her offspring, who keep the commandments of God and have the testimony of Jesus Christ. He's not pursuing the woman anymore. He's changing his tactics. His orbit, he can't pursue it. We saw that. He's not going. He's mad at the woman, but he's changing his tactics. Now he's making war with who? Those who keep the commandments, the Jews, and those who have the testimony of Jesus Christ, the Christians. This is a worldwide persecution of all the Christians and all the Jews. He's given up on trying to destroy this Israeli nation. This is where Revelation 12 ends. Right here. This is the last verse. We have seen that from November 21st, 2016 through April 5th, 2022, that everything the Apostle John has described has been mirrored in the heavens. Everything that he describes in Revelation 12, we see it in the stars. So in all, he's had 5 years and 4 months and 16 days that he's covered from 2016 to 2022. But he stops 182 days short of the 1,260 days that are needed. And to find out what happens in those last 6 months, we're going to have to follow on and follow Jupiter further. But here's where Revelation 12 stops, and we have a 6-month onslaught where I think the Antichrist has given up on destroying Israel, and he's trying to wipe out all the Jews, all the Christians worldwide, so when the Messiah returns, there won't be any Christians or any Jews left. And is that not what is said? Unless the days would be shortened, there'd be no flesh saved. So everything we've seen has lined up perfectly, and this has to be the time period. There's no other. These events are not going to coincide like this. It's 30 more years before Saturn gets in this position again, and there's so many of these things are not going to repeat. So we've accurately seen Revelation 12 in the heavens.